Yo, yo, let's get it. Yo, 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 what up, Raider Nation, man? It's your boy GQ Raider. You already know. You see, I got my guy,
Raider Killmonger in the house.
We in the thing. Hey, we just here for another episode. Episode 2, Nation and Nothing Podcast. Hey, as you can see, we got Killmonger in the house. The other day, he was on location. He was at work where he was at. But we in here, we chilling today, man. You see what today is about, man. We just gonna talk about the UDFAs, man. Talking about some of these undrafted guys, right? The last time you guys saw us, we was talking about some of our draft picks, what we expected, a couple of things that we like or who we like rather about the draft picks. But today it's all about our
UDFAs.
You know what I mean?
Let's go. So we just welcome, Raider Nation. Welcome, Raider Nation. How y'all doing out there, man? Hopefully we got some good vibes going out there. We giving shouts out to everybody that tuned in. You know what I mean? Or that's a Raider fan. And my boy gonna start it off.
Well, I mean, it's really done starting it off. We here talking about what we talking about. Excellent. Wow. So, I mean, honestly, so when I feel like. Let's forget about who started. I feel like let's just talk about Ja Joyner, right?
Oh,
let's start off right there. I feel like Ja, as soon as I watched his tape, bro, he just jumps off the tape, bro.
Yeah, man.
Immediately.
Yeah, man.
Immediately.
It's kind of like what I've been knowing him. It's kind of like once you do your research, which we do here at Raider Nation Dream Club, and what we really do here, at our sites and our podcast, we really do the homework. So when you see a player of this caliber not making a draft, it's just like he was right there on the cusp, but he kind of was missed. There was a lot of talent in his draft, and we're blessed to actually have somebody like this that was invited. Actually, he's invited to our rookie mini camp as well. We're going to break down that as well. A couple other rookie invites to the mini camp as well, give y'all a little bit of inside information as well. But he's the number one guy on our radar, or should we say the highest rated UDFA that we signed. And it is unanimous. It's unanimous of its potential as well as a 6.88 RAS score, relative athletic score. We keep up on these things. And for the Raiders to get this type of talent, we should be excited. We should be excited.
It's not surprising though. Because like when you look at the players that they drafted, it's kind of
from this regime. Right. It's not. Exciting.
Right.
Coming from we drafted Leatherwood, and then it's just like Raider Nation is scared. We're scared, bro.
I'm saying it's not surprising, like you said, within compared to the drafts. This draft, looking at the players that they drafted, the athletes that they drafted, the particular, as you mentioned, Rascal. I know that if you guys watch any of the other podcasters out there, if you're watching Graph Waste or anybody like that, or watching Mitch or Sanji, you're starting to hear this term a lot, Rascal, right? But that's something that with this regime that they are very high on, these players that are extremely athletic, that have these specific traits about themselves that translates to them being able to be fluid and being able to handle multiple different things on the field.
It means relative athletic scores relative to their position, how they rank.
Correct. Rank all time. Right.
With them
all time at that position.
Right. So that means a lot. If we're getting some players, we've got at least, I would say from my last data I checked, there's at least about 13 players that have some of the highest RAS scores in the game. That's potential. Most people say it's hype, but it's not, because a lot of these players have actually proven their potential at their, at their individual levels that they played at. It's just how does it translate is what we're gonna, go over with the athletes, the top 10 UDFAs that we have. We're gonna go through them all, but we got at least the top 10 or the top 8 that were graded pretty high RAS scores as well as overall score. So besides Josh Joyner, who else are you interested in, bro?
So when I was looking at the UDFAs, I didn't exactly list them in order, or I didn't watch them in order. Rather, you know what I mean? I didn't watch them in order of who I felt I wanted to see more. Right. I was kind of just looking at who we acquired and watching the tape. And when I watched it, I just kind of just jotted down really what I was feeling there, what I was feeling, what I was looking at the time. And so, like, even for Ja, that's what I said for Ja. When I looked at his tape, what I wrote for him was beast. Because that's just what I saw. He just jumped. He jumped off the tape, and I wrote that down. Like, man, this guy's a beast. Like, and obviously with Pete Carroll, with Patrick Graham, he could, and with Rob Leonard, bro, he could definitely be something.
Defensive line specialist.
Another guy that I gave that same designation to, where I said when I just watched the tape,
yes, sir,
and I said, beast, was Jalen Walker, bro. Linebacker, man.
Oh yeah, he's number 4 on my page.
Okay,
he's number 4 on my page. Okay. Talk about it, spit it.
Well, I'm saying that's, I see the same for me in that same vein.
Right. Like, how did he not get drafted? That's what I was thinking.
I'm like, wow, he's smart. He comes downhill, bro. He's in his fit. He's solid in his fits. He can cover. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Coming out of Indiana,
I was Jalen Walker, bro. That was another player. When I watched the tape, I was like, wow, like this guy, he's undrafted.
I was thinking the same thing when I seen him. I really thought he was going to get drafted, not just from the name alone, because I watched him play. His name rang bells as well at that position. We did draft another linebacker. What was his name? Cody something, Lickenberg or something like that.
Lindenberg, Lindenberg. That was like our 7th round pick, right?
Right. But I seen a similar type of energy. We seen a similar type of energy, in these guys. The same type of motor, that Pete Carroll and Spike Tech is targeting. These certain type of players with almost like an infinite motor that have football, high football IQ.
I'm glad you said that. So since I'm on that lane with Jalen Walker at linebacker, I also really like Matt Jones. Now, Matt Jones obviously is like Jalen Walker in terms of size-wise. When you look at them side by side, it's a difference. But Matt Jones, when I watched his tape, I looked at him. I said, this guy has excellent technique, and he is extremely smart. Right. So when you're talking about high football IQ, I'm watching him play the game at linebacker. I'm like, this linebacker is smart as hell from Baylor. Yes. Matt Jones, bro.
I watched a little bit of his tape, and I was impressed that, that, how can I say it, our scouting department were able to locate these guys, or that we actually paid attention to high intensity, high not just high intensity, but high IQ type of players. And I said before in the last video, most of these people were undercover leaders of their teams. They were
and that's another thing, high character, high quality guys. You know what I mean?
That's amazing to me.
Leadership in areas, right? You got a lot of guys who have these qualities, and then you got a lot of guys that have a lot of ability.
Yes.
They're looking for guys with ability, and it's crazy how many players that they selected, whether in the draft or UDFAs, that were either a different position, can play a multiple position.
Right.
They were playing a position before they switched to another position, or they just have the athleticism to play multiple positions. Like they are specifically looking for guys that can do a number of things, that are fluid with, you know, doing a number of things. And that's very interesting.
So we're going to get to the number 2 guy. Unanimous is Josh Joyner. Number 2 that I have, and it's kind of unanimous between us, is we got some interesting names here. We have Ja, Melo, another guy named Greedy, another guy named Bless,
Tank.
We have a lot of interesting names, and these characters, we're gonna see how they're gonna blend. A couple of these players have been invited to the rookie minicamp. Well, number 2 I put is Melo Dotson. I'm sorry.
Why do you have him at number 2? Or not that I disagree, but why do you feel you got him at number 2?
I have him number 2. Everybody else has other defensive players at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, our defensive unit has already shined. Our defensive unit has already made strides to be one of the best at the end of the season last year. Now, this is a need type of thing for me. He's a cornerback out of Kansas. He's 6 foot.
Everybody say what's up, baby GQ.
He's been invited. In the background. He's getting invited to the mini camp as well. Him and Greedy, I was trying to figure out which one I should put above each other. Between him, because I love SC, but between Melo and Greedy, Melo Dotson and Greedy Vance, I expect some good things out of them. That's my number 1, my number 2, and my number 3. Now, Greedy Vance, honestly, I'm not sure if I know one of them has at least 4 pick sixes. I mean, one of these guys, that's a hog to me. That's a dog. I have to move you up on that. It means your production means you.
That's Melo Dotson, bro.
You've returned at least 4 touchdowns. I'm sorry.
That's Greedy.
4 interceptions. 4 interceptions for touchdowns. Excuse me. But 4 interceptions returned for touchdowns. To me, that kind of puts you a little bit higher coming from a former DB, Let me get the jitters out because I'm a DB. I'm sorry, defensive lineman. I love y'all too. I love y'all. However, under Ja Joyner, I have one of them DBs at Greedy or Melo at 1 and 2,
So again, like I said, I didn't have I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just didn't have my list configured in terms of my rank. I should have had them as how I wanted them ranked, but I just did it. I wrote them down how I saw them. So
we just saved the time.
I saw Melo later down the line. So as I looked at Melo's tape, like you said about him, as you have him as your number 2. When I looked at his tape, what I wrote down for him was ball hawk. Yeah. This guy is a straight ball hawk, bro. Like
also Jack Jones, I was like, oh my God.
He is absolutely that type of player. So I 1000% agree about being high on Melo Dotson. And so you had Greedy at number 3, and I know that you were mentioning that he had also a very favorable RAS score at a 5.83, right? So when I looked at his tape, what I have for Greedy, I actually looked at him a little bit before Melo, and when I looked at his tape, I said he is for sure going to be a slot corner.
Right.
In that inside. Well, I'm watching his tape. I loved his technique, his leverage as an inside corner, and I was like, I could see his development there in that position. Immediately when I looked at his tape, that's what I felt for him. I felt that he for sure would fit in right there, and that's a big need for us, right? That's a big need for us as a nickel corner.
Loss of Nate Hobbs.
You feel me?
And even on the outside, some of these players are going to be interchangeable. We don't know exactly where they're going to cement Eric Stokes at, or the other guy we were talking about yesterday, Ronnie Johnson Sr. or Jr. We don't really unsure, but Pete Carroll is a DB guru, so we're looking at a total of maybe what was it, 5 or 6 DBs total this draft.
And then look at their architect though. Also, they're getting players that are tall, big, fast, long, corners. Because there's another one that I saw. Actually, I looked at Greedy Vance, Mello, and this next corner. I looked at them all at the same time, which is Humphrey, Josh Humphrey. You know what I mean? And this is another big guy, 6'2", 196.
Yes. Out of SC, out of USC.
Also out of SC, but he's also out of UCLA. He played for UCLA and for SC. You feel me?
That's love.
You know what I mean?
Shout out to UCLA and USC, man. Thank you for putting out these good athletes for us, for the Southern California. We with you.
But yeah, Josh Humphrey as well. So as you can see, they did address, you know, these areas, right? And they did get some more developmental players, you know, for this position.
Is it overkill though? Is it overkill? Is it overkill? Because we got this other guy, Jordan Taylor. They invited this other safety. I forgot his name to compete.
Excuse me, y'all.
However, they brought in a lot of these people though. It's because I believe they're wrapping up as well as special teams as well. I believe
you're gonna need, bro, and then also you need bodies too, right? You need camp bodies too, right? And so no, it's not overkill, bro, because it's gonna whittle down to the camp people who's just camp bodies, and then you're gonna need your practice squad, and then you're gonna need the cast that's gonna go, but you're gonna be able to use that competition, bro, to be able to figure out like you know what I mean. You want your best unit. And so the more competition, the better.
I think it's elite. Raider Nation want to take a quick shot. Tell you, moving forward. Drink your beer, don't overdo it. No drinking, no driving. You're welcome to go ahead and give any questions to us. Or who do you feel? How do you feel about certain picks that we've acquired? We're basing on UDFAs, but we're going to go down the list right now.
So who was your fifth guy?
So after that, I'm going to go to this other defensive tackle named Booker. Anthony Booker out of SMU, 6'3" and a quarter, 347 pounds, was a power pusher. You know, he's rated. He has a pretty high RAS score. I didn't write it down. I just looked at his tape. And then I said that it's going to be the same thing that we were talking about as far as the Raiders draft picks being not the draft picks, but the players that we're bringing in right now are actually common sense picks, because they have the news so-called about Mr. Wilkins maybe having a secondary surgery. We don't know if it's legit yet. We're going to check. We're going to look into it.
I feel that's cap, because the source that it came from, I'm saying, in my opinion, I feel like
smoke.
I feel like the source that it came from, though, there are one way more reputable sources. I'm not saying that this source is unreputable, but it's way more reputable sources that if had that been a thing, would have been out with that. Not only that, when they had the voluntary OTA or the voluntary mini camp just now, Christian Wilkins was there working out, bro. He was out there putting in work,
he was
bro.
out the boot.
So it wasn't he was ginger. He was trying to baby something, or he was out there getting it in, bro. In the weight room, squatting, lifting on the fucking. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Again,
so our perspective and what we're trying to say is, you know, we love you. You know, Raider Nation, we love y'all. You know, whatever situation may be, from how we see it, this additional depth that we're adding. Far as these different defensive line positions, it's not out of a necessity. It's out of basically we don't need this guy to be on the field so much, so that we're going to add some additional guys in there so that we can finally start giving these guys a break, right? They don't got to be out there 4 downs getting beat up. You know, we got this guy to sub in, etc., to keep maintain the same type of intensity level. And I'm glad.
Well, the way they built the rosters is different every regime, right? So like depending on what the regime is, sometimes they keep 7 offensive linemen. Sometimes people have 8, some people have 9, some people have 4 running backs, some people have 3, some people keep 3 quarterbacks, some people only keep 2, some people keep 5 or 6 receivers, some people only keep, you know what I mean? It just depends on how they feel like they want to make up the 53 man, right? That's all going to come down who's making a 53 man and how we want to allocate, you know what I mean, these positions. But as you was talking about Tank or Anthony, but he goes by the nickname Tank for those reasons that you said. When I looked at his tape, a guy he was from SMU, right? Yeah. When I looked at his tape, what I wrote down, I said, force, bro. He is a straight force, man. Yeah. As you was talking about the push, talking about the drive, bro. Like,
they're doing
great, I definitely looked at that like, wow, look at this guy. He got some absolute force. So I definitely agree there. I'm right there with you.
Okay, the next couple of guys we're gonna run through them. We don't have too much info on them. We're gonna check into them, you know. But after that, we signed another safety. Like we signed another defensive tackle. We already said Mr. Booker. We already went through him. We have another safety from Arkansas. He's 6'7", 194, named Hudson Clark. We believe he's going to be a support player for, like we said, on special teams. You know, special teams type of guy, just in case somebody gets injured. Then after that, we have Mr. Runyon, Carter Runyon out of Towson, another
a couple of these players I gotta see. I haven't seen.
I haven't either. But it's to me, we don't have to see necessarily all the tape on them. It's just kind of showing you the direction that the Raiders are going as far as depth. Because what I also did is I'm a football fan regardless. So we checked on the other teams and seen the amount of UDFAs they drafted. I've seen a few teams that were brought in about 4 or 5 to 6 UDFAs. And you have teams that brought in 20. So the competition level is higher when you have the more UDFAs that you have. But when you have a team that kind of, you know, like Jacksonville, I believe, only had 6 UDFAs, bro, when I was looking at it. It was crazy. It was nasty work, bro. Like, you feel like your team's that perfect? Like,
you definitely miss out. You definitely miss out.
That's crazy.
On some opportunities there. The third person that I saw that I looked at as I'm just going down my list, third person I looked at was the tackle from Virginia Tech, Parker Clements, bro. When I looked at Parker, I'm saying, watching his tape, watching him move, he's a solid project right tackle. He's a solid project. Like, maybe not somebody that's going to come in and necessarily start day one or you know what I mean, but he's definitely a solid project to be a good rotational piece at right tackle. I definitely liked what I saw from Clements, and then also the center, or he could possibly be a guard, but the center from Iowa State, Huford, Jared Huford. He's definitely also a solid project, right? Somebody that can come in as a depth piece.
But your guy that you were talking about, Mr. Clements, he's an individual that got invited to minicamp. He's a guy that they want to try to insert early to boost the competition. That's what Pete Carroll's doing. You know what I mean?
And I can see that. I can see that out of him.
You know, that's nice.
I can see that out of him.
Everybody that I put we put the asterisk by is the ones that they invited to our rookie mini camp, along with the UDFAs from this year and last year. So it's bringing up the level of competition. You know, we like our older players, we do, but you can't be complacent with this new regime that we have moving forward. You know,
another good depth piece that I saw that could have some good potential. The defensive tackle from Baylor, Trevin Mae.
Yes.
Yeah, boy. I definitely, he reminds me of Max Crosby. When I say Max Crosby, his motor. He has a high motor, man. That he don't stop. He gets after it. He chases plays down. You'll see him way down the field chasing the play down from the backside. Motherfuckers is giving up, and here he come making the tackle from the backside from down the play. And he's also, a good thing about him, he's a Vegas native. You know what I mean? He's a Bishop Gorman graduate. Yes, you know what I mean?
Local.
So he's a local Vegas native. So it's cool to have him in the building.
Amen.
And, and hopefully he can put on for the city. You know what I mean?
Another guy, speaking that I don't have him in order, was the other guy we got, Malik, or should I say Haj Malik Williams, a quarterback out of UNLV, another local guy.
Okay.
They said they inserted him in halfway through the season, and it started to look good. Even if he's just a guy, to get some reps out there, that get our offense and defense ready. That's what these players are. They're role players, and some, we hopefully, the good ones are the ones that everybody's been rooting for. They make our practice squad or etc. But we're trying to boost the ceiling of the Raider organization, and we got to have a pool of players, that we can draw from, a pool of talent that we can draw from, and we, Raider Nation, me and my bro, lots of other people think that we're really, really moving in that direction.
I feel like we are. When you look at what we're talking about, so look at just the talent level and the value of the players that we've already mentioned that we're talking about tonight, right? And these are just undrafted guys. These are just the undrafted guys from this current draft. So when I'm judging this current regime for what it is, you look at the moves that have been made ever since Tom Brady stepped in the building, right?
Yes.
The moves that have been made to acquire Spytech, to acquire Pete Carroll, to get Chip Kelly, to retain Patrick Graham, to keep Rob Leonard, to extend Max Crosby, to give Malcolm Kuntz his year, prove it deal. It's really a prove it deal for Malcolm Kuntz, right? Because of his injury, but I feel like I have no problem with that because we know what his value is. Malcolm's gonna get paid, right?
He's the leader of the defense, hands down.
And Butler.
Not
Adam
Matthew,
Butler.
Not Matthew, but Adam.
Adam Butler, extended Adam
Matthew,
Butler.
You another guy. We're gonna have our other episode about guys we on the chop list,
getting
we didn't have time for that to put that info right now. We're just gonna add, the depth to the roster, et cetera, et cetera. However, Pete Carroll's bringing that competition level. So we are gonna have to list eventually our bottom players, the players that kind of didn't quite meet the expectation when they were drafted or brought in. They're going to get beat out. That's not a personal thing. This is a business as well. As the Raiders run it as a business, so do we. It's not a favorites. It's not a favorite thing as well. But I just want to add that as well. Another thing I want to add is, who do you think the jersey sales? Who do you think got the number 1 and number 2 jersey sales, et cetera, and all that? And on a side subject, who do you think was the number 1 jersey out of the
who was already or will be?
Already, right now.
Number 1 jersey sales. It's gotta be Travis Hunter.
Everybody heard that.
It's gotta be Travis Hunter.
A DB/wide receiver, high impact position. Sometimes I need an excuse to take a shot of my beer, but shots out to you.
Yeah, let's take one for you.
Yes. We don't know. We'll give you that. We'll give you that win.
It's gotta be.
We gotta give you that, Dion.
Number 1 overall, 2 position player. You know what I mean?
We got to give you that. His jersey is number 1 now. This is no cap. Number 2 jersey we have is going to be Cam Ward. Mr. Cam Ward.
That's interesting.
Mr. Miami, Mr. Utility Knife. And I don't have nothing wrong with that.
I still think that Shedeur will have high jersey sales because it's just the novelty of the Sanders jersey. You know what I mean?
This is where it gets interesting. He is number 3.
Oh,
Shedeur is number 3, right? But look where he's playing for the Browns. When was the last time the Browns had the number 3 top selling jersey, bro?
Deshaun Watson went there.
That was a while ago. Don't tell me about Myles Garrett don't get in the comments saying that Myles Garrett was a top 10 selling jersey. No, he wasn't. He's a top 10 player, but he's not a top 10 selling jersey. He's not. And it took y'all all that time. You guys are basically making y'all money off the jersey sales. A lot of teams could have did that, but that's another subject.
Hey, that's well, and to slide into that, you're talking about something right there because that also plays a part in the NFL. People understand is that there are certain teams that really don't care about winning necessarily like that. As long as they are, the jerseys is selling, tickets is selling, money is flowing, that it's okay to let certain players go or not, do this or that. You know what I mean? Like just to keep the status quo of being a competitive team, but not necessarily trying to do everything to win. You
I have to like you to respect you, type of thing. You know, not letting your ego become your enemigo is kind of what you're saying. Now, all the Raider fans out there, guess who number 4 is? Top selling jersey out of 32 NFL teams. It's gonna be Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty, Mr. Boise State.
That makes sense, but pretty soon that's gonna be the number 1 selling jersey because when they start seeing how hard that Raider Deuce look, you know what I mean, with that Genty on it, they're gonna start tapping in on it. I'm gonna have to get me one.
Oh, we gonna get one. We definitely gonna get one.
I'm gonna have to get one. It's a couple. I'm not in late years, man. It's kind of hard getting Raider jerseys of young players. You feel me? Like I kind of stick to getting legends. You feel me?
Throwbacks.
You feel me? Like because them is always gonna be official, right? You never know when these new players is gonna come and go. It kind of be hurting like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still got my Jacobs. I still got my Mac jersey, and I know how people feel about that. But shit, I still got my Mac shit. You know what I mean? I like to get to the old school cast.
What you trying to say is it's a trust factor. Just because we got you, you got to prove yourself. That's all. That's all he's saying. As being Raider fans for over 20 years, we like the new thing, we like the new buzz, but we like to prove it, the proven commodity first. And with that. We're gonna get ready for this Raider mini camp, and we have a few players that was invited to this rookie mini camp that I was unsure about, and I was gonna ask my man about. You know about this Kayvon Britton? Is he the guy that was on the team last year? Just Kayvon Britton, the running back Britton. This guy Britton, the running back out of Tarleton State, something like that.
No, that's actually a name that I gotta look into. You up on it on me on right there.
What about the other guy that we had? Did we have another running back named Britton or something like that?
Britton Brown.
He's a similar type of thing. Hey, nephew.
He's no longer on the roster.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Keep trying to come in and being part of the show. Like a baby GQ in the corner.
We're gonna throw the deuce, nephew. Throw the 2. But yeah, like we were saying, I was bringing up. So we got a few backs that was actually invited to, like I said, the mini cap. We have this former running back Javonte Williams, and I was like, how's this guy getting invited? But he had pretty good stats. He's going to bring some healthy competition. We're not hating. Welcome. We have another guy named Bless Harris from TCU, offensive lineman as well. That got invited. We have a Dorian Singer. He's a guy that I've seen people rated pretty high. They said he was a 1,000-yard receiver previously. He's out of Arizona, and I believe he did play for UCLA. And then we have this other guy, Kayvon Britton, we're talking about from Tarleton State. He's been also invited, along with the guy my cousin was talking about earlier, Mr. Clements, and as well as Mello Dotson. So we have at least 6 or 7 players that have been invited. So the UDFAs are gonna slug it out. What you think about it?
I feel like we also didn't mention Pat Conroy, the tight end from Old Dominion.
Yes.
We did bring in another tight end. I know we feel like our tight end position should be solidified, but it never hurts. Again, you got to have some bodies out there. Plus, you always want to take a look at how any position can be upgraded. We also didn't mention there's another D tackle that we brought in from Wake Forest, Kevin Pointer.
Yep.
when I watched him, I said he was another player that gave a high effort. He was very strong on the inside, and he gave a very high effort. I like high effort players.
Me too. But that just makes me worried with the amount of defensive tackles that we're bringing in.
You can't be
not worried, not necessarily worried. It's just like, are we going to run the 5-2? Are we going to switch up our system to add more? Are we going to switch up the system?
It's a rotation, though. You can never have too many great players, man.
Right.
Like if you can get a roster of, if you're saying that you bring in 12 defensive tackles and you can get the top 8 defensive tackles or the top 6 defensive tackles out of 12 defensive tackles, you're going to have 6 quality D tackles that you know you're going to be able to rotate in
and starting caliber.
And the drop off is not going to be a drop off because you didn't chisel this down.
That's a hell of a plan.
Group of players. You know what I mean?
That's a hell of a plan, man.
You know,
I don't have no doubt in Pete Carroll and Spytek's vision. It's just something different coming out of Raider Nation. You know, we're used to we're picking up hype players like we said on the last video.
If it was weird when we're doing shit right. Yeah.
It literally is like we literally have, you know, in this draft we brought in at least 6 to 7 defensive linemen, tackles, and about 4 to 5 different cornerbacks. So we've addressed our needs, our weak points, etc. But why we brought in so many it's not a worry point. It's just a sign of doing things right. It's having a proper depth and keeping a competition level at a certain bar at the same time, which shouts out again to Pete Carroll and the whole Raider organization for that.
But then we also don't want to forget to mention that with the pathway to player, the pathway to
Taki, right.
The pathway program, right? The international pathway program with the NFL, right? We waived David Ogoa. So with that program that allows the NFL teams, any team that takes on one of these players that are developmental players from overseas, from one of many countries many
sports,
you know, that try to come in and
we only get one, right? We only get one. Yeah, we only get one a year.
But what they allow you to do is, as your roster is a 90-man roster, they allow you to have a 91-man roster, as that player doesn't count against your roster. You can potentially develop, you know, someone who can contribute to your team, and doesn't count against you.
Yes.
But Laki Tasi, he's from
Mr. Laki.
He's from New Zealand. No,
he is originally from Hawaii. I forgot exactly where he played. I have it on another page, but it was saying that some of his metrics and his RAS scores were relatively high again. And to me, that's why I didn't dig deep into his metrics, bro, because it's like this regimen is like they're finding the diamonds in the rough. They're finding players that have that proper potential. Even though he has no experience at the position, his legs were bigger than freaking tree trunks, bro. I was looking at it and I was just like, he's over 300 pounds.
A rugby player.
He was over. When I looked at this picture, he looked like he was about honestly 275. They were saying that he's 350. He did not look no 350.
And that's the crazy part. He's a rugby player, so you know, like his movement is unlike any other 400-pound, 350-pound guy that's running at you, right? The athleticism. Again, this is a testament to what this regime is looking after.
You know what's funny? The picture that we see in him that I'm referring to, y'all, you can look him up. When you see his legs, you're going to say, okay, Killmonger, okay, GQ, we see what you're talking about, right? It's an actual picture, no Photoshop. Now, look at the picture of one of our AFC rivals, the Chargers, with the guy they selected. We're going to have to tackle all year. His name is Mr. Humphreys, the running back out of UNC. They showed a picture and they enhanced it to where he looks so much bigger than Harbaugh. You know what I'm saying? You haven't seen that picture, have you yet?
Nah.
Yeah, they got one of the top running backs in the draft. We're gonna have to tackle
Amari Hampton. I know
Mr. Hampton, Amari. But they made him look so much bigger, and it was a Photoshop compared to the picture that they showed us on the guy that we're talking about, Mr. Lockie, our defensive tackle, the new Hawaiian guy, the international guy. His picture wasn't photoshopped, and he looked smaller than what he was projected to be. But why you got to hype up your players? He said he's only 6 foot, and I know Jim Harbaugh is not a small guy. I can't wait to play him. I can't wait to play him. I can't wait to get them, the Broncos. I'm always ready. We're always ready.
This season is gonna be interesting indeed, man. This is gonna be a real eye-opening season in terms of the good look into the direction of this new regime of the Raiders, right? We're definitely going to see what we're about in this first year, because again, they did not build this team to compete 4 years from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. They constructed this team in such a way that they're going out to compete this year, right now. This is happening. Like
you said it first.
This is not something that's going to be for the future. That's why they went to get Geno. That's why they went to make the moves that they made to be
multiple draft picks. Multiple draft picks. We're making something happen now. We're gonna cause waves now, but we do keep an eye on the other teams in our division and look at the significant acquisitions that they, have gained on. But none of the teams have gotten an A grade in our AFC West. That's real talk. You see a team that got a draft grade UDFA besides the Raiders? You see any other team in our division that brought in the type of players that we brought in through the UDFAs, through the draft?
No.
Free agent signings.
And this is definitely easily the best draft the Raiders have had in over 15 years. Easily. It's not even a question.
Yep.
Top to bottom. First round to seventh round UDFAs, and talking about the way the execution happened, the trade backs, the double trade. You know what I mean?
This guy and this guy.
It's for sure.
We haven't seen nothing like it before. And we're gonna be with you through the whole season with it as well. What I was thinking about is the other position that I've seen that we drafted, one of the second most players is at cornerback and DB. Like I said, it was defensive tackle. We have a lot of defensive tackles, and then at cornerback. So,
but it's needed that defensive back, because you got so many areas, and I feel like when you really want to be effective as a defense, you want to not have to have so many defensive linemen on the field, right? To be effective, you want to be able to get pressure with 3-man rush, with a 4-man rush at the max.
And with that, you want to minimize the amount of chunk plays that they get. We can take the 3 yards to 4 yard gain. And that's what I'm thinking, like, while he's grabbing these guys. Cause I'm like, Pete Carroll's already a DB-friendly guy. Not even DB-friendly. That's his specialty.
But mind you, a lot of the defensive backs that we brought in are guys who are very comfortable mixing it up. They will come down in the box. They will come down and lay a hat. They're going to come down, and they're not afraid to put their helmet in there and get a tackle. You know what I mean? And so when you have defensive backs and you got safeties and you got guys support cast that aren't afraid to actually come and get active in the run game as well, then it makes you less hesitant to let me get these linemen on the field so that we can make sure that they ain't running all over us. Now we're gonna keep our base. We're gonna get these.
Pete Carroll, he's simplifying the defense, and I heard he's gonna be pretty much letting Palomalo roam at safety and bringing Jeremy Chin down, because he's like a third or fourth linebacker,
right?
Depending on the set. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's just who we gonna have out there at the secondary cornerback besides Corey Bennett. And that is and we have there's a lot of guys we can say, because it's gonna be this guy, it's gonna be DCAM, it's gonna be, I know it's not gonna be I don't believe it's gonna be Darnay Holmes. What you think? What do you think is going to be?
Well, Darnay Holmes is going to be a nickel corner. He's not a outside corner, so it's not going to be him. If anything, Darnay Holmes is going to get the starting spot, or right now he's penciled as having the starting spot at the nickel corner, not the outside corner. So, no, I would not believe it would be Darnay Holmes.
You think Porter's going to win it?
That would be right now. I believe who they have out there listed out there is it Stokes.
Yes, they have Stokes, and then they have
listed
DCAM. And
I feel like Porter has the tools. When you look at the way he plays the game, you know what I mean. The instinct that he plays with, you know what I mean.
He's gonna be. If not first string, I believe he's gonna. I think he's gonna at least make second.
Porter,
string.
I feel like definitely if he goes out and the game is not too big for him, obviously the speed is not going to be too fast for him. But if the game is not too big for him and he's able to play comfortably like he played in college, I feel like he easily wins the job because of his size and his speed and the way he plays corner. So the way he plays corner is not just like fundamentally, he plays corner instinctively. And so, you know what I mean? Like, he does things that normal corners typically wouldn't do. And that also plays a part of him having a previous wide receiver background. You know what I mean? You know, I play corner and I play receiver too, you know, and when I played corner, I also had a lot of success playing corner. It was rare
you incorporated what you learned.
It was very rare that I was getting balls.
Shout out to the two-player athletes. I'm gonna take another shot on that one. Another one for you, Travis Hunter. Mr. 1-2/21.
Nah, all right, we ain't doing too many Travis Hunter salutes on this bitch. We doing a GT.
I love my DBs.
You know what I mean?
Genty, that's our bell cow, man. That's gonna be our bell cow. I'm glad you brought that up because if we brought a cornerback for us, our running back number 2, solidified number 2. You believe it's gonna be Mostert?
Yeah, I do. The crazy thing is what I know about Raheem Mostert. The reason why I am high on Mostert is that I won't say every year, but in a lot of years playing fantasy football, I had Mostert on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
And seeing his production, bro, as the back that he is, I know that he is a very productive back. Correct. I wasn't often upset at the week that he had in fantasy football, looking at what he did, his stats statistically. So obviously it's fantasy football, but I'm not talking about that. It's just the fact that when you look at his production,
I was jealous of the guy, bro. I was jealous of him. Man.
Yeah, so I'm actually excited about that because giving him some new juice and some new sauce, a good old line and a better offense, a better supporting cast around him. I feel like as a spell back, not being the bell cow, but a spell back, he come in bringing that change of pace. He absolutely can have a lot of success in this offense.
We know his 40 time was like 4.3 or something.
Yeah, and then it's Chip Kelly. So this is the whole thing behind the whole ordeal is we still can't even. In fact, we can, but we can't even imagine the Raiders what this is going to look like with an actual genius play caller like Chip Kelly behind the reins.
I can imagine
and moving the thing. Well, we had Hugh Jackson.
I can imagine,
and that was our last genius play caller.
Imagine this though, right? And we're not offensive, play callers and stuff, but we have at least 5 or 6 players that run 4.3s or better. Now imagine all them being on the field on offense. Let's start with the quarterback, Mr. Mellott, on the special play. Let's say we have Mellott out there. The running back we just talking about, Mostert out there. We have Trey Tucker out there. And then we have the new guy, Mr. Thornton, out there. That's 4 guys on the field. That's like a jet set. You're not going to be able to guard all 4 or 5 of these guys that's running a 4.3 if Chip Kelly is the real deal and putting players in space to be successful. And that's what we're saying, that we have multiple sets to where honestly is that we're happy that the Raiders are not going to be predictable is a word. And that's what it was before. It was predictable football. We tried, with the coaching regimen, but the players and the lack of depth Not necessarily the lack of talent. Is really the lack of depth that hurt us.
Shout out to my wife, man. That guy is smelling good in there. You know what I mean? She and they're whipping it up in the kids'
It was a lack of depth though, because once these players that we had went down, once these key players went down, we didn't have no backups. Even going back to linebacker now, we got as far as linebacker, what you think about a linebacker?
I feel like we got to see what we got in our linebacker core. I like what we picked up in the free agency. I mean, in the free agency. No, actually in the free agency and the draft. I like what we did in the free agency and the draft. I like the moves that we made. But I also want to see that the players that we already had see what the development is. You know what I mean?
Eichenberg.
We got to see what's out of Eichenberg. We got to see what's Amari Burney. We got to see what's Amari Gainer. You know what I mean? We got to see what's to him. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see what this room is going to look like when you put those players with a Landon Roberts, with a Devin White. You know what I mean?
And one more guy they got was Cody Lindenberger.
That was the 7th-round draft pick.
Yeah. Him plus that lineup, I think we're good. I think we good. I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think we should worry about that position,
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with every position.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily worry. It's just about evaluating the assets that are there.
Right.
And putting the best.
Put them in favorable positions.
Right. And putting the best team together, right?
Right.
Putting the best team together out of everybody. You feel me? Overall, I like the direction that the organization is going, like in terms of how they're evaluating players, how they're bringing players in, how they're the type of players, the mindset of the players. You know what I mean? And what the makeup of the particular players, like regardless of position.
Right.
You feel me? Regardless of position, you can see that they have a particular type.
Right. Yes,
they have a particular type.
Yes.
But that's all plays into Pete Carroll, right?
Yep.
And the type of coach that he is, and the standard that he has, and the shit that he lives for,
too.
Right?
They're saying they're a perfect marriage. They're already saying that compared to him and our last ownership and et cetera, they were saying that they were bumping heads on the different picks that they wanted, et cetera.
Well, I can tell you because we know for goddamn sure that AP wanted to get motherfucking Jaden Daniels.
Yes, he did.
And Telesco did not.
Yes, he did. And there was another guy that they disagreed on that we all were in, we were all about.
That's Jalen Walker.
Riddance. Yep. Good riddance. However, the new regimen or regime, however you want to pronounce it, we're making big strides at Raider Nation.
We took Tyree Wilson instead of Jalen Walker, and we're
proud. I'm proud. I'm totally proud
of what's happening now. Absolutely.
I'm proud. I mean, even if it comes from a guy, even if it comes from a guy we haven't heard his name, we have another UDFA that we brought in, another guy named Zachary. What's his name? Zachary Franklin out of Illinois. It could be him. It could be this Malik Williams guy, this quarterback out of UNLV that brings a spark. They said he brought a spark for UNLV. Once they put him in, it could be any of these guys that we bring in that can either help us get to the promised land, which is the playoffs. Playoffs first. We say get your foot in the door, and then you develop your systems, and then you have to coach a game for 4 quarters. But hopefully now the Raiders, we've gotten to a level to where we're not just scripting the first 3 plays in the first half and we're just winging it the rest of the game. We have enough players to where these coaches have to install a proper offense to include most of our weapons, utilize the talent that we have on the field, and it's looking good, bro. It's looking good. I'm taking a shot on that one. That's looking good to me. What you think, bro?
I'm interested to see what the quarterback battles look like. That's the room that I'm actually the most interested in. Not obviously that anybody's going to take the starting job from Geno. I'm interested in seeing Geno. I'm interested in Geno and his connection to the offense and seeing how he puts his footprint on it. But I'm curious about the quarterback room. I want to see. I know that Malad is not necessarily going to be a quarterback, but I know that he will have some capacity in there.
Right.
But I'm curious to see the battle between Cam Miller and Aiden O'Connell.
I got an answer for that. I was kind of semi worried about that right before we acquired Mr. Geno Smith, right? And then I was thinking, like, we just bring in enough talent. It's really a war of attrition. To be honest with you, it's a war of attrition through two ways: through who performs better, is performance over injury. Somebody's going to get hit. This is a high impact game. This is how it goes. Somebody's going to get injured. So are you ready once this guy? It could be Geno. It could be Ed. It could be any of these guys. So I believe that if we prepare them at a certain level, it won't matter who's at the helm, long as we keep variability in our play calling. Because if we have a guy out there all 4 downs, what do you think is going to happen? If we just keep putting this guy in and shoving him in, of course he's going to get injured. That's why he's brought in these different quarterbacks so he can see, what plays are successful, what is our team best running. Even though this guy may not be the starter, we can use him for 2 plays and then.
Yeah, but I don't think that's not going to happen. The only quarterback that I think that will happen with is Malott because of his skill set. So I literally, that's the only quarterback where it'll be like, we're gonna bring him in and do this. Yeah. The other quarterbacks, so what I'm saying is if Geno Smith is starting quarterback, there's never going to be a time where they're like, okay, we're going to bring Aiden O'Connell in and do this little scheme real quick. No,
it's only Malott, right?
That would be the only guy. So the other quarterbacks, I'm saying the battle for the backup is where I'm interested in seeing who's actually going to be the backup quarterback. Aiden O'Connell, Cam Miller, you know what I mean? Or Malik Hodge-Williams, right? Yes. He brought it in from UNLV. Like that, the battle for the number 2 behind Geno. Not Malott because he's going to be a gadget player with shit going on. But
we're saying that's going to be signed to the roster, like you're saying, when they on the roster chart. This is guys number 2 and number 3. I agree. I agree with you on that.
I want to,
that's going to be a battle.
That's what I want to see. You know what I mean? Because Cam Miller has he has a very high ceiling, bro.
34 touchdowns.
He has a high ceiling, bro,
and only 4 interceptions last year.
Yeah, and he's good up here in his head, but he also has good movement. He has good ability.
I'll tell you what I'm trying to say. He rips that ball. Yeah. He kind of got a rip to him. He kind of just with the ball. I like him, even though Mr. Malott has 31 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Mr. Miller has 34 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So,
as a quarterback, Miller's better because he beat him in the national championship. So
correct.
You got to.
But when you look at the statistics, if I'm going to choose between a quarterback that has 2 interceptions versus a quarterback that has 4, that's over, and they both have over 30 touchdowns. That's not.
Honestly, you have to also evaluate the play. You got to look at what's going on in the play, how the interception came. Did he just throw 4 balls straight to a player? Did he throw a ball in a good spot? It bounced off receiver hands? Was there a defensive interference somewhere in there? Was it tip? Was it, you know what I mean? There's a couple different factors when you're looking at it, you know what I mean? But when you look at just his tape, when you look at the film, the way he processes plays, the way he gets his ball out, his delivery, and just the competitor that he is, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna check that. I think that's higher than Jalen Milroe, bro. As far as touchdown to interception ratio between these 2 guys that are FCS guys.
Guys, but I mean, Jalen Milroe to his defense, he was playing at Bama, you know what I mean? And so that matters, right? It matters because your level of your competition, right? If North Dakota State was playing the SEC for 8-9 games in their season, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that his stats would have been looking a little bit different.
These are conversations we need to have. We put it out there for
you still can't overlook when people are having this type of success, right?
We're saying the efficiency is just only in your whole season. This guy's only thrown 2 picks, Mr. Malott, and as well as Mr. Miller, he's only thrown this whole previous season 4 interceptions. No matter what the competition was, that whether he was trained to be safe with the ball, the Raiders organization and scouting department, they have an eyeball. We don't want players with a high turnover ratio. You know what I mean? So for them to even notice these gems these diamonds in the rough. That's kind of awesome to me. You know?
Shout out to our people that might be tuning in from the East Coast, man. Shout out to everybody that's
welcome.
That'll check this out. I know, or when you do see this, man. Shout out to everybody wherever you at, man. To the Raider Nation all over, man. For tapping into Nation Nothing podcast. We coming up on a smooth hour here, man. I think we're gonna end up trying to shut this on down, man. But before we go, man, you got anything else? Any last thoughts, man, about this UDFA class? Obviously, we still gotta wait to see, what happens when everybody gets to camp and everybody gets to making them pass.
What I'm gonna do is we're gonna do a follow-up video, because we let y'all know a majority of the players are gonna make impact, should I say, as far as UDFAs. However, they're competing against the rookie invites as well as the previous players. So we'll give you an update on how that competition is going, whenever my man.
Well, I feel like you're competing against the whole team. Honestly, right. if you just looking at it like, well, I'm only competing against the players who got drafted from last year, that's not the right mindset.
Correct.
You when you're coming in, no matter if you came in this year, last year, next year, you're competing with everybody that's at your position. So if you're a defensive end, you're not just competing with the DN that got drafted last year. You're competing with Max Crosby, because this is your livelihood.
Malcolm Coons, correct.
Right? I'm saying, right. Like, this is your livelihood. If you're an NFL athlete, you don't want to just settle for I'm just competing with the nigga over there. No. You're trying to be the best, right? So you're competing with your position group. You're trying to be the best that you can be, making the statement that you can make so that you can be if a guy. Absolutely. Look, do I feel like it will happen? No. But if there was a defensive end that came in and he was out beasting Max Crosby, like when he got on the field, he jumped
100%.
I would be like, put that nigga on the field. I'm saying he's throwing cats out the way.
Right.
He's getting a sack on every play. He's fucking. I'll be like, we need to put him in for Max Crosby. You know what I mean? I'm saying that obviously,
but that sound like your guy Tweaks. That sound like your guy JJ.
I'm saying not necessarily that. Y'all know what I'm saying. I'm not saying not to play Max Crosby. I'm saying
like Tweaks.
Obviously,
that sounds like your guy you were talking about.
Take out Coombs and then keep Max Crosby. It's good to have two Max Crosby. But I'm just saying, if we had that type of player, and it was like, man, do we play him or him? I'm saying, if this player, I don't give a fuck if he's a rookie. If he gets in and he's throwing motherfuckers out the way, he's getting sacks, he's fucking getting tackles for lost fumbles. Put him in the game, bro. Play him. Put him in.
You know, I felt that way about Malcolm Coons before you started,
bro. I've been talking about.
I felt the same way. I went off about it, bro.
Obviously, you guys know. I do. I'm also on the Raider Nation Drinking Cup podcast with Q and Thor. And Q and Thor will already tell you. They'll tell you, I've been pounding the table for Malcolm Coons since this nigga got drafted.
Me too.
Since he got drafted. And Amik Robertson, both of them players I was pounding the table for. I was at them cats got heart and they was gonna do something. Shout out to Amik. I know he got traded and shit, man. Yeah. But before he left, he stepped up. Before he left, Amik was doing his thing, man.
He's a dog. He's always been a dog for us.
Always been a dog. But yeah, so any of these players, man, any of these players that's coming in, if they come in and they show up and show out, yes, I don't care what rookie, UDFA, first year, 10th year, 9th year.
We agree.
Put them on the field.
We agree.
Put them on the field.
Agree.
You know what I mean? If they're excelling at their position, if you're offensive lineman and you're holding your block, you pancaking motherfuckers, you driving cats 10 yards, put him on the field.
Yes.
What are we talking about?
Because we suffered so many years of mediocrity. That's why people, Raider fans like us, we've been through the dirty, through the mud, through the ugly. You know, we've been through all that, you know. So for us to get a chance, for us to get a little bit of sunshine, come on now, bro. Put him in. Put him in. We've seen them put in players that weren't even supposed to be out there on the field, man. So this year, we're glad they're doing it right. Shouts out again to the Raider Nation, the management, staff, recruiting, coaches, You know, everybody that's connected with this Raider Nation Drinking Club. Who else?
Thor Q, man. You know, shout out to the homies. Shout out to everybody in the nation, man. Shout out to my wife,
again. Man. His wife, thank you. She hooked me up with the braids again.
Yeah, man.
Welcome.
But on the next episode, man, like you said, we'll get into our current roster, the current UDFAs or the current roster, basically
the position battles, battles.
It's basically
the UDFAs and the players that was invited, because you know we don't like to go over the players that got cut. You know we don't, but you know, but they're gone. No, because some of them get brought back to the practice squad, right? Yeah. So we just put these names out there, you know, we let you know, people that are moving up, some are moving down. We still gonna try to give you the most up-to-date info that we can get on, that we can actually get a hold of.
And make sure, man, you guys like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, man, so you all can know when we're gonna be on, when I'm gonna be on. So, man, there's some other stuff that's gonna be in the works, man, in the future. But for now, you absolutely gonna be able to catch me. Most times, often it's gonna be me. A lot of times, it's gonna be me and Killmonger on the Nation of Nothing podcast. But you're also gonna be able to catch me on the Raider Nation Drinking Club podcast with the Mighty Thor and Quiet Q. Man, we appreciate y'all coming out, chopping up about these UDFAs, man. And we'll see y'all next time with another one, man. As you know, it's always Nation or Nothing, man. Shout out to the West Coast, man. Cali, what's up, man?
We love y'all. Have a good day or night.
That was dope, bro.